doing? So I have a little special guest with me tonight. He's camera shy, so I have to force his face into the camera. So this is Winston. This is my baby boy, my fur baby, my co-therapist. He hangs out in my office sometimes and helps me with my clients. He's super duper helpful. He is the sweetest little thing. And he's very intuitive, and he knows when people are having a hard time. Most of the time, once he greets people, he does a thing like you have to touch him because you have to rub him because he wants to make sure you're a good person. And once you do that, he settles down and then he kind of just lays there. But then if somebody's having a hard time, he will come up to them and put his little paw on them, or he might sit on their lap. So he's a good little keeper and a good little co-therapist. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about continue the discussion about connecting with all parts of you. So before we do that, I just want to talk about the parts that have been coming up for me doing this. As you guys all know, probably every time I started a live video this week, I talk about how much I hate doing it. Hey, Erica. So I really, doing a live video is an interesting experience. It has brought up a lot of parts in me. The biggest part for me is that fear part. The part that just fear of being seen is definitely one of the biggest parts that's been brought up while doing this whole process. So that's one of the parts that I've been working on for a very long time, maybe for the last couple of years. Especially going into my own business and doing my own thing and really trying to serve people the way that they deserve to be served. In order to do that, you have to really expose yourself and you have to really put yourself out there. So that's one of the biggest parts that's been coming up for me this week, is being seen. And it's funny because I'm the youngest of 5 women in my family, and I was always wanting to be the center of attention, and still, sometimes I go out and it's nice to get attention, whatever, but to be seen on a platform like this, or to have people watch you live, is one thing. Because I've done videos on Instagram and I don't mind recording a video, which is almost the same as doing this, right? It's not like I'm recording and editing or whatever, but it is hard to do something like this when people are actually watching. So that's been a big one. And I know yesterday I talked about really paying attention to your body and what it's telling you. So my neck and my back have been really hurting because of all the kind of exposure that I've put myself this isn't torture. Well, sometimes it feels that way, but just kind of putting myself out there has definitely taken a toll on my back, and I have a massage coming up, so that's great. Self-care, super important. So I wanted to continue our discussion in regards to accepting all parts of you. And where we left off last night was talking about your soul self, or the core self, right? In internal family systems. The core self, if we want to talk clinical terms. Winston's over there throwing toys at me. He wants to play. But anyway, so what I said about the soul is the self is the essence of who you are at the core, and it brings balance and harmony to your system. The soul is energy, and energy never dies. So, right, energy, electricity. So I have a little definition from an article that I found about what electricity or energy is. So electricity is everywhere, even in the human body. Our cells are specialized to conduct electrical currents. Electricity is required for the nervous system to send signals throughout the body and to the brain, making it possible for us to move, think, and feel. So how do cells control electrical currents? The elements in our bodies, like sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, have a specific electrical charge. Almost all of our cells can use these charges, elements called ions, to generate electricity. So what do you think this electricity or this energy or these chemicals are doing in how is that happening? So yeah, science, all that stuff, but the soul is really what makes this vessel, this body of ours, have the human experience. So if energy never dies, what happens to the soul once it leaves the body? I'm not trying to change anything that you believe. I'm not trying to say that you have to be spiritual and this is the only path. Like, your path is your path, and what you believe in is what you believe in. But if we boil everything down to the basis or the root of everything, all religions really at the core are about being selfless and being selfless and being helpful to others. You know, the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated, be kind, show love. So my belief, and I said this a little bit yesterday, is that, you know, the soul has many experiences, and this is one of the experiences that your soul has had, and we are here to learn. We're on this plane to learn. So I want you to just question some of the things that you have learned. You know, I grew up in the church. I grew up religious. And when I was about 10 years old, I really had this, what Rebecca Campbell, my mentor, would call this niggle to this. She's Australian, so this is the word she uses, to not accept what was being taught, because it just didn't feel right to me. At a soul level, it just didn't feel right. And I remember having this huge temper tantrum. My mom was, you know, forcing me to go to church, not in a bad way, but she was like, get dressed, you have to go, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And it just, what I felt in that particular church was a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of judgment, and it just didn't feel right to me at 10 years old. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So, you know, nothing against church. I think church is a great place. I go to church every so often because the word is the word, no matter what. But just the concept of it for me never resonated. So, you know, what I started to do is use everything else as a learning experience, to learn, to question, right? I started to question everything. You should never try to settle for what is being taught to you, right? Because I remember one time in school, I was with the Gifted and Talented program. One of my Gifted and Talented teachers said that, so like if you find a road that, like, say Newington, or a road that's named after like a state or something like that, right? You follow that road and you go to that state. And I was like, what? That doesn't even sound right. So, you know, people will teach you false things. So you have to do your own research, and you have to do your own questioning of what it is, you know, and explore and what feels right to you, because the soul always knows. You come here with this knowing, and when we're disconnected, we fall prey to other people's opinions or other people's, you know, law. I mean, think about the people who fall into cults, right? They're so lost within themselves that they believe that this one person, this human being, is a messiah, or they know the way to whatever. You know, the people fall prey because they are disconnected from themselves first, and then from some higher power. So just, you know, be open-minded, and I'm not trying to convince you in any other way. But one thing that I do know for sure is that we are here to learn. You know, this experience is supposed to be educational for us, not a suffering, right? Do we suffer in this lifetime? Of course, but we don't have to continue to suffer. We can make choices to not put ourselves in situations that are going to make us suffer. You know, sometimes people just do not get out of their own way, and they don't get out of their own way because they're working through a certain part, right? A part of them that is trying to lead their system. You know, and like I said yesterday, parts have good intentions, whether they're light parts or dark parts. They have good intentions. They are trying to protect your system. They're trying to protect you because they are you. But if you don't start to explore, like, what is the intention, what is the motive of this part, and where did it come from, and when did it get developed, and I don't have to be that person anymore, and I don't have to be a victim of my circumstances, and looking at experiences as learning experiences, then you will not be able to get out of your own way. You will be depressed. You will be feeling inadequate. You will be feeling insecure. You know, like I said, some of the parts that have come up for me have been these very old parts of mine. So the fear part, right, that I work on every single day. This is, you know, one of the things that I tell my clients, and I know for myself, is we are constant works in progress, right? You can heal and feel better, and then there's something else that you need to learn, and something else that you need to evolve into. You never stop growing, you know, and any wise older person will tell you, you never stop growing and you never stop learning. This life is a school for us. You know, our current experience has been teaching us, and it continues to teach us about being human, right? We are learning in the here and now. This is if we are too far in the past or too far in the present, in the future, we're not learning what we need to learn in the present moment, right? I tell my clients all the time, the only moment that exists is this moment right now. Like these seconds, these actual seconds, because 5 minutes ago is over, and 5 minutes from now, we don't know what's going to happen. So you have to try to be as mindful and as present as possible. And trust me, I know it's hard. I know that we all go off into our daydreams, or we all go off into our worry land, right? The what ifs. The what ifs is one of the biggest and worst things that you could get stuck in, because that is the recipe to anxiety. So what if this, what if that, questioning. And that's really ego based, that the ego is questioning everything so that you stay in this place and do not grow, and don't evolve into who you can be and who you came here to be. We all have a purpose here, and finding your life purpose really makes a huge difference, and it's not about knowing it, because not everybody always knows it, but it's about exploring what really feeds your soul, what makes your soul happy. And oftentimes it is serving others in whatever way you can do that, right? If you're a chiropractor, you're helping people's bodies get better. If you're a bus driver, you're helping people get to places where they can't possibly get to. If you are a lunch lady, or a person that works in a cafeteria, you are helping people get nourished, right? So it's not just about being the doctor or the lawyer or whatever it is. It's not about the success rate. It's about the joy that you get in serving others and doing stuff for others. But do not forget yourself, right? Because you are the key. If you are not healthy, how can you do your job and be happy doing it, regardless of what it is? If you're not satisfied with yourself or connected to yourself, how can you be satisfied with what you're doing, even if it's not what your life dream was, right? Sometimes we have this big grandiose dreams. I thought I was going to be, my whole childhood, I always thought I was going to be a pediatrician. Like, I loved babies. It was the best thing ever. I thought for sure I was going to be a doctor, and that was it. In high school, it changed to a lawyer. I would have been the worst lawyer ever, but it changed to a lawyer because one of my teachers was like, you know what, you argue so well, you need to become a lawyer. So both of those dreams were shattered because I hated sociology. It was boring as heck, and I didn't want to do criminal justice, and I wasn't good. I wasn't horrible, but I wasn't the best in science and, chemistry especially. So, I wasn't going to be a doctor, and I wasn't going to be a lawyer. And I fell in love with psychology when I was in developmental psychology when I was in undergrad. And right there, it clicked for me. I knew that I was going to be helping people because I had always helped people. I was always the person bringing in the stray dogs or the stray cats, literally, or, the person who people would talk to about their problems. If I look back at my yearbook in high school, a lot of people signed it, okay, mom. Like, I was always everybody's mom, always lecturing people, always, just out of love, not, out of I'm better than you and I know better, I know best. It wasn't any of that. It was always out of care and compassion for others and wanting them to do the right thing. So, what is right and wrong. We learn about what's right and wrong in this world, and most importantly, how to love honestly and wholeheartedly. Really, that's the answer. How to love honestly and wholeheartedly. But you have to do it with yourself first, right? You have to be able to love yourself fully, completely, honestly, and wholeheartedly. The good parts, the bad parts, the light parts, the dark parts, whatever you want to call them. Do I get frustrated when my fear part comes out? Yeah, but you know what? I nurture it and I love it, and I know it's trying to do something to protect me, and I meditate on it, or I do a card reading or whatever it is to get me to a place where, you know what? It is okay to be fearful, but you don't have to let it rule you, right? Another part that came out for me this week was that part, right? And this is why I did that post about loving your body, because that part of, oh my God, I went on a vacation just recently. I've gained a couple of pounds. I'm looking a little fluffy in the face. Yesterday, the technology wasn't working so great for me, so it caused a little bit of anxiety, and I noticed that I was doing a lot of my little tics. If any of you guys know me, you guys know I do this often. I, play with my hair, whatever. But then I did something like this in the video, and I was like, oh my God. So when I watched it back, I was like, what the heck? And I stopped it immediately, and I was like, nope, it is what it is. Whatever, as long as people hear the words and get the message. Yeah, it was some of the things were a little awkward or whatever it was, but I know it's because of my anxiety. So we're here to learn. We're here to learn how to love, right? And capital LOVE. I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm not talking about the simple levels of love. I'm talking about true wholehearted love, which means loving everyone, right? The hardest thing ever. Even loving Donald Trump. That's hard, people. You guys know that's super hard. But, it's loving the person that triggers you the most. Loving the person who did the bad thing. And I'm not saying necessarily being super nice to them. I'm just saying sending them love and light, right? Instead of hate, instead of resentment, instead of filling your space and your heart up with that kind of thing, is saying, you know what? I feel sorry for this person. I have compassion for this person. I don't know what they've been through. That person that cuts you off on the highway, or that person that is just, I had somebody do that today, and it was really hard because, of all the stuff that's been coming up for me. So my road rage came out a little bit. But then once I got to the place where I needed to get to, I, kind of just sent out love and light to this person, because I do not want to hold that anger or that resentment in my heart. I did it while I was in the car because I felt like it and it felt good, and then it didn't, so I needed to correct it after that. But just so you know that when we're here to learn, and like I said, we learn from the toughest experiences sometimes, right? These lessons are not always through wonderful and fulfilling experiences. I wish that they were. On the contrary, the most important lessons are usually learned through tough and maybe sometimes traumatic experiences. So, instead of becoming, and I think I said this yesterday, instead of becoming a victim to your circumstances, it's taking time to reflect and what did you learn from it, and forgive, like truly forgive. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's really about you. And I know you guys have heard this, right? It's about you releasing the negativity, the anger, the whatever it is, the hate, the resentment, the anger, all those negative feelings that we feel towards a person when they do us wrong. It's releasing that, right? So you're not saying, oh, it's okay that you hurt me, or it's okay that you violated me, or it's okay that whatever. You're not saying that. You're not saying okay to their behavior. You're saying, I release myself from this hate, from this resentment, from this fear, and you are forgiven, right? I mean, I know you guys have seen probably, in I don't know, Dateline or whatever, shows like that, where, people will forgive the person that murdered their loved one because it's something that they need to do for themselves. I know the people in the down south in North Carolina, or church shootings, they interviewed some of them on the Today Show or something like that, and they forgave the person that came in and shot up a lot of their members of their congregation, because that is what you do. That is what true connection and to the higher power and love, capital LOVE, is, right? It's just releasing yourself from those things. So, I don't want to freak you guys out, but I like Oracle cards, and I just got a really cool new deck in the mail, and things align all the time. So the woman that did this, her name is Megan Watterson, and she has some really amazing books about Mary Magdalene. She's actually a Harvard-trained theologian, and she talks a lot about the divine feminine, and that was some of the stuff that I talked about yesterday: divine masculine, divine feminine. So I just pulled a couple of cards, and this one card right here resonated with me, and I think it's just perfect for this. So I don't know, you can see it right there. And it's probably backwards because that's what happens with the phones, but so it's Lala, the saint of spoken words, right? So one of the things with accepting all parts of you, what you have to remember is that your narrative predicts how you feel about yourself, and your narrative predicts how you feel about the world. So be careful what you say to yourself, and be careful what you say to others, because when you say negative things to yourself, that's not you accepting all parts of yourself, right? Like I said, my fearful parts came out, my feeling fat parts came out. And I let them say the things that they wanted to say. And then, you know, I just embraced my parts and I said, you know, but it's okay. Because next week we're going to get back in the gym. We're going to stop eating all the freaking ice cream we've been eating. We're going to stop doing the things that we are not supposed to be doing in overindulgence, right? Yeah, I'll eat ice cream. I'm not going to eat, like I said before, I'm not going to eat twigs. You know, I'm not about that life anymore. I'm about enjoying the things that I love, and food is one of them, but all in moderation, right? So getting back on track, even though I'm going on vacation in a few more weeks, but getting back on track so that it's not another 10 pounds added on top of probably the 10 pounds that I already gained. So what I did is I reversed it, right? I let the parts say what they needed to say, and then I said, nope, but we're good because we're going to fix it and we're going to get back on track and we're going to go to the gym and we're going to do whatever we need to do. So I did not, like a few years ago, let myself fall into that spiral of negative thinking and negative words. So this is why this card really resonated with me. It's called, so Lala, the Saint of Spoken Words, every word I say becomes a prayer. I am the author of my own story. Okay, so I would just want to read a little bit about what this card represents. So words have the power to shift, and this is Megan Watterson saying this, right? So words have the power to shift our reality or to continue to reinforce it. All right, I'm going to read that again. Words have the power to shift our reality or to continue to reinforce it. Louise Hay, so Louise Hay is the queen of affirmations. She was the owner of Hay House Publishing, and a lot of the spiritual self-help books are published through this publishing company, and she was an amazing person. One of my very first books about spirituality and self-awareness and really accepting all parts of me and accepting myself was Louise Hay's book, and my mom gave it to me when I was about 15 years old, and it's called You Can Heal Your Life. And I still have this book, and I still recommend it to many of my clients. It is an amazing book. She has a workbook that goes along with it, so it is something that it was life-changing for me, and it has been life-changing for many people. But so Megan says, Louise Hay, founder of Hay House, turned to me during a dinner party. Louise Hay is no longer with us. She died a couple of years ago. But Megan, because her books are published through this publishing company, obviously had the honor of meeting her. So she says, you know, Louise Hay turned to me during a dinner party, looked me right in the eyes, and declared, every word you say is an affirmation. Again, every word you say is an affirmation. This is perhaps one of the most crucial spiritual lessons to remember. If we are not separate from the soul, and if the soul is not separate from the divine, then we have the power to co-create our life, right? We have the power to co-create our life. So the words that you speak are creating your life right in that moment. So Lala is the invitation to pay close attention to each word we say to ourselves within and to the words we say about ourselves to the people we love, right? So if you're saying I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that, that's what people see. And that's what you're going to put out. And that's what you're going to project. And that's what you're going to get back, right? So remember, everything you say co-creates your life. So Lala is Lala is the acknowledgement from the soul that our every sentence is a prayer. If we want more love, more light, more of the joy and freedom that expands our capacity to be present in the world, then Lala reminds us that we can become the author of our own reality right now. We can speak our desires into being. Lala is a reminder that we are so powerful that changing the words we use to describe ourselves can change the trajectory of our lives. We can choose to focus our attention on each I am statement we say, and we can infuse our lives with the nectar that comes when we act on the truth that we are not separate from the divine. So just choose your words wisely, especially when you're speaking to yourself. When you're looking in the mirror, when you are getting dressed in the morning, when you're brushing your teeth, speak kind words to yourself. You know, often I say to my clients, especially when they have this really negative narrative in their head about themselves, I will have them do the affirmations. And people are like, oh, affirmations, that doesn't work. You don't know until you try. So I have clients pick affirmations that resonate with them. I have them write them down on sticky notes. And I say, you know, in the mirror in the bathroom in the morning, or on your computer at work, put these sticky notes around. And whenever you are feeling a certain way, pick the affirmation that is going to help you get yourself out of that negative space. It is so important, the words that we choose to say to ourselves, just as important as the words that we choose to say to others. I think it's so interesting that we tend to be more careful about what we say to others than we are about what we say to ourselves. You know, if you cannot be kind to yourself, why is it okay? Why are you being kind to others if you can't be kind to yourself? And I'm not saying be mean to others because you're being mean to yourself, because we know a lot of those people too, right? They're miserable with themselves, so they try to make other people miserable too. But if you are so specific and calculated about the words that you're saying to other people, how come you're not that specific and calculated about the words that you're saying to yourself, right? You live with yourself 24 hours a day. And if you are looking in the mirror and you're saying to yourself, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not, smart enough, I'm not skinny enough, if you are saying those words to yourself, then that is exactly the way you're going to feel, and that is exactly the way you're going to resonate to others. So be kind, be caring, be loving, right? Ellen DeGeneres, I love her to death, and she, her thing is be kind, right? But you have to be kind to yourself first. It is so important. And that when you start to accept all parts of yourself, it is so much easier to be kind to yourself. I know it's hard. Let me tell you, I know it's hard every day to be conscious, to be kind to others, right? My road rage example from earlier today. But I corrected it, and a few years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. I probably would have chased the person down, whatever, little angry parts. And I would have let that ruin my whole entire day, and would have been thinking about this person the whole entire day and like wishing bad things on them and whatever. It's just a waste of energy and a waste of time. Deepak Chopra was on the Today Show the other day, and he's like the chillest guy ever. I don't know if you've ever heard of any of his meditations, but they're awesome. He, some of the some of the people on the Today Show asked him, they were like, do you ever get mad? And he's like, nope. And they were like, really? He's like, yeah, it's a waste of energy. And it is. When you get mad, it is exhausting, And listen, I was the queen of mad. Some of you on here that are watching know, and you've experienced my anger, and it just doesn't serve me anymore. Not to say that I don't get mad, but it doesn't take up the space that it used to in my life. It doesn't take up the space that I let it take up, in my teens and in my 20s, and even in my 30s, It wasn't until I worked through all of my daddy issues and, the abandonment issues and all the things that I didn't realize were affecting my life that I came to this place of, some things are just not worth your energy. So what I would like you guys to really work on is being kind to yourself. So pick some affirmations. If you're not feeling worthy, if you're not feeling good enough, then reverse it. I am enough, right? I am worthy of good things. I am a kind person. I am intelligent. I am beautiful. And I've exposed myself a lot this week, and it was really scary, and but it's felt really good and really kind of opening up a lot of my chakras, and it's been an amazing experience, and I really appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in and really listening to my words, and I'm hoping that they resonate. I've gotten some really great feedback, and I'm grateful that I can do this, and I'm grateful that this is my life purpose, to help others, and that I have the words to speak and the ability to do that. So I don't want you guys to forget people who are in Connecticut. Thank you, Lisette. So people who are in Connecticut, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I'm putting on an amazing retreat on June 15th. And also there is a sign-up bonus. So the first 5 people who sign up will receive a free crystal dreaming journey, which is something that I have recently been certified in, and it is amazing. It really can help with getting some of those blocks out and figuring out, where to go and how to kind of manage things. So it would have to be live and in person with me.